Nado Dankwa's vision of free senior high school education is about a week away from today. It's therefore an opportunity to be able to address you, give you an update as to where we are up to this point. Today is an exciting day. A week from today, students from across the country will have the opportunity to enter into senior high school without the usual ritual of parents running around to find money to pay their students' tuition. So we're excited about this opportunity presented to us by His Excellency, the President. My minister is on a critical assignment, and he sends his greetings to every one of you. This morning, we would like to address the Ghanaian people, parents, everyone, about the efforts that we are making to ensure that no child is left behind in the placement process. As you are aware, last Friday we completed the placement process, the first part of it. At the end of the first part of the placement, a number of students were of course placed in their schools of choice. This year we did something unique and different. What we did different was the fact that we did not place students against their wish. Over the years, there have been complaints from parents, and rightly so, that why do you post my student to a school that he or she never selected? So this year, what we decided to do differently was that after we do the initial placement, whoever did not get placed will have the opportunity to go to a website, and at that website, together with a parent, go through the list of schools that are available, and then select a school that is most convenient to them. And that is the phase where we are at this moment. I want to appeal to our parents across the country that will work with you, will support you, to make sure that your children get to the school where you want them to be. At this stage, because we have so many people trying to log into the system at the same time, you're going to experience some kind of slowness. You're going to see a situation where it takes you a few minutes to log in. It's just like if you have 100 people and the door is open and everyone wants to get in at the same time. There had to be some struggle, but what happens is after a few people are able to get into the door, then they ease the entry point. And this is what is happening at this point. A number of people are now getting access, and as more people get access and print their enrollment letters, what is going to happen is that the system will ease up so that everybody will get in. We understand that there was a communique from us about making sure that within 48 hours, parents are able to go and check and enroll their students and sign up and print the admission letters. This was in no way to rush them. It was an opportunity for us to make sure that this year, for the first time in many years, our schools will open early enough so that we are able to really get students to use the 3 years as possible in their studies. What has happened in this country is that we've never been able to open school early. And as a result, some schools will open in November, some students will go to school in January. So one term is gone. And then at the end of the 3 years, WAEC also do the exam beginning in February. So in essence, what was meant to be 3 years become 2 years. That is what we are trying to avoid. So parents, do not panic. What we are saying is that we will give you the opportunity. At the end of the 2 days, if your child is not enrolled, we're not going to cut him or cut her off. We will work with you. We are monitoring the situation. This is Nana Addo Dankwa's vision of making sure that no child is left behind. And we at the Ministry of Education will do everything possible to ensure that no student who has been placed has been given the opportunity to select a school will be left behind. At the end of the placement, we had about 92% of the students declared as placed in regards to the fact that they are seats for them. Now, the 8% are those who did not do on the exams. They are students who have a number of fails. And these are based on the experience from the previous year. These are the students who qualify for reset. As you know, this year there are students who did reset, and they are part of the students that are going to school this year. So if you do not get in as part of the 8%, you have an opportunity to do a reset, and next year you'll be part of the students who will be placed. So we have 92% of our students given the opportunity to enroll in various areas. Those who did not get the opportunity are the ones who are going through the self-selection process, which will enable them to select the school that they want to go at this point in time. We understand the anxiety, and rightly so. You cannot have a good opportunity staring you in the face and somebody is telling you that your child cannot get in. So I was on radio station, a number of radio stations today, dialoguing with parents who are anxious. And if I were in their shoes, I'll be anxious. No good opportunity should pass by a parent. So media, we are grateful that you came. Thank you for the opportunity to come and meet us. We have the secretariat down there, we have staff there, they are working. We have established a hotline that will enable parents to call in when they do everything possible and things are not going the way that it should go. We have a hotline here, which I will disclose to you. The telephone number is 0302 74 7778. I repeat, 0302 74 7778. This is our hotline. A number of people are going to be waiting for your calls in case things are getting difficult and you are not getting answers. We also have a WhatsApp line, which is 020 740 7499. I repeat, 020 740 7499. We'll make copies of the hotline available to the media. And beyond this, we have dialogue with headmasters. We've met with them many, many times. I think my minister in his short term in office has met with headmasters more than probably most ministers in history. Because what he's trying to do is to create an opportunity for dialogue. That communication is a two-way street and not a one-way street. So we've worked with headmasters. Our goal is to make sure that if there are any challenges, we'll resolve them. As I speak with you, we believe we are ready to open school. However, as a human institutions, challenges may come. For example, if I speak with you, core textbooks are being distributed throughout the country. I call one school where they not only have 1 year in mathematics, they have the 3 years. So students who are going in now will not have to worry about any textbook for the next 3 years. The books are already in stock. But there may be some schools where they haven't received some of their books, and we are listening. If any headmaster calls, I will respond to the call and make sure that they get the books that they need. Free Senior High School under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is true free indeed. No student is supposed to pay any fee. And I repeat, students are not supposed to pay any fees. As a matter of fact, our PTA levied fees like utilities, development levy, and even teacher motivation is going to be paid by the government. As a result, we've made it abundantly clear to our headmasters that money should not be the reason why a student does not go to school, and therefore no parent should receive a bill. If PTA meets and decide in consultation with GES that there's something they want to do and they want parents to contribute, it will not be mandatory. If Mr. Kojo Mensah doesn't have money to make that contribution for his or her, his ward, he will not, the student will not be prevented from going to school. So ladies and gentlemen of the press, of the media, we are very excited that you came. This is where we are in terms of Free Senior High School. And I think at this time, I would say that we're in a good place. We are resolving challenges with internet connectivity. We see how the technology works. There are two ways. It may be the fact that you are trying to log in from a point where your internet bandwidth is low. It will reduce, it will give you a longer wait time. And also our server may be overwhelmed. So as I speak with you, with our acquired new servers, we are making sure that there are backup plans. We are working with NNIT in Accra opposite busy internet. There are places open for parents who may have connectivity issues. We are looking at options around the country. Internet cafe and other places, we are talking to them, how they can open access to our parents so that they can get in and truly do what they know how to do best, prepare their children for school. So this is where we are. We are in a good place, but I know that we can be in a better place.
So the much talked about free senior high school policy by the Kufuor-led administration is expected to take place in 7 days. How ready are we? What are the things parents should be looking out for, especially those who haven't gotten a place for their kids? Let me find out from the Deputy Minister in charge of secondary education, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, to get some more understanding. Thank you so much, sir, for having us. How ready are we for this policy? What exactly are in place?
We are very ready. I'll let you know that at this stage, wherever we need to put in place have been put in place. We have had dialogue with principals, headmasters, many times. I always tell people that my minister probably will go down in history as the minister who have met more with headmasters than anybody else. Because during this short period of time, he has about 4 meetings, official meetings. Beyond that, we've met with bearers, accountants, everybody that works in the school system that you can think of. Besides that, we've had many meetings with CHAS. So at this stage, I'll tell you that we are close to the finish line. There are a number of things that will come up. As a human organization, there may be some shortfalls here and there. As I speak with you, core textbooks are being distributed throughout the country. Never happened before.
Free textbooks.
Free textbooks for the core subject areas are all going. I've talked to headmasters who may have missed one book, and we are making every effort to make sure they get the books. The good news about this is that we didn't want them to wait till the second year and then we bring them the second year textbook. Third year, we bring them the third year. So when I spoke with a headmaster yesterday, he said, I have my first year mathematics book here, second year mathematics book here, third year mathematics book here, so I don't have to worry the next 3 years. So we really want to prepare. And as you can see from our logo, this is not just about access, it's also about quality. Because what is the point in opening access to our students if they are going there to fail? And that brings me to the point of making sure that we can go through this process as fast as possible so that students can go to school. You know, senior high school is supposed to be 3 years, but invariably we lose the first term at the beginning. We lose 1.5 terms at the end. So it's become 2 years. That's what we're trying to avoid. So I can understand the anxiety at this point.
Before we even get to the anxiety, it appears the distribution of free textbooks is a step in the right direction. How about the fees for these schools? Have they been disbursed already?
This is what we are doing. There are some items that we have to take care of from Accra. We are doing that. There are some items that the schools have to take care of. For example, school uniforms, school cloth, house dress. Headmasters have been empowered to contract with their own vendors for those items, and the ministry will pay for it as soon as they bring us the invoice and say that this is the amount that this supplier is charging us and it's within the budget. The ministry disburses the money to the suppliers. So there are some items that they are empowered to go ahead and begin and will pay. We're also making an arrangement for them to receive a certain percentage of their monies for other expenses before school begins. You know that there are a number of items on the school bill. For example, PTAs were collecting what they call development levy. Exactly. We have teacher motivation.
Is that also captured?
Yes, it's captured.
Parents do not have to pay for PTA?
Because the reason is this. I don't want a child to be sent back home because of a fee item. And another Dankwa doesn't want that to happen. He, in his mind, is saying that everything should be free, and in practice, he wanted it to be free. That was his vision. The idea is that you don't put any impediment in the way of any parent.
So if later during the course of the academic year, PTA takes a decision that students would have to pay some amount of money, it doesn't need to be mandatory?
If they decide that there's a specific project, it has to even come to GS Council for approval. And GS Council will have to assess whether it's something that should be allowed. Now, if they decide, GS decides that it's something that should be allowed, when that happens, it will not be mandatory.
It will be free.
It will not be mandatory for any parent who cannot afford. We want the PTAs to be able to persuade their members. We want you to be able to go to your members and say, this is so important, that contribute. It shouldn't be a compulsory thing. Contribution by compulsion is something that we want to avoid. That way, those who don't have the resources are not impeded from the realization of the vision and goals of Nana Addo Dankwa as Free Senior High School.
Honorable, let's now talk about those who qualify, those who have been placed. You talked about 92% who have passed and have been placed. This 92, are they, do they also capture those who have issues with the selection process, those who haven't been able to get the school of their choice?
Yeah, the 92 includes all of them. Percent.
Can you please put a figure to the 92?
The 92 is, we have 36,000 of the 8%, then it's about 420,000. And they are parts of the number of students that we have spaces for that are going to go to senior high school. All that we are saying is this. You see, unlike the previous years where the computer was placing students in schools where they did not choose, we wanted to avoid that. We had complaints of parents. There are parents that will say, my child was sent to a school, I have never heard of that school. And I don't think that is fair to a Ghanaian parent, that you want your child to go to school, and then we place him or her in a school that you have never heard of. So under the leadership of my minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, he said, let's discontinue that process. But the best way out of that scenario is to make sure that parents will have the opportunity to select the schools that they want their children to be placed.
So this brings us to the self-selection process.
Self-selection process, thank you.
So with this selection process, how sure are we that these people will be able to get placement?
I would say it's a guidepost. I would say we are using that to measure how fast we can move things. No student is going to be told you cannot benefit from this great vision of our great president because it's Tuesday. It's not going to happen.
So it's possible that after Tuesday, people will get the opportunity.
Of course, madam. Because why would we do that? Nana Addo brought this up so that the poor will benefit and everybody from deprived communities will benefit. And if by saying that you should register this time. You see, let me give you the rationale behind this guidepost that we offered. Over the years, as I've said, students were not going to school on time. And this hampers academic achievement. 70% of students who take the WASSCE fails every year. They don't get A1 to C6, what they need to move up to tertiary level. It's a tragedy in this country. When 70% of students are not doing well, it shouldn't continue. And one of the things that we agree with GS over was that why don't we do a fast-track placement process to get a case in school early enough so that they can get a full first term. And then after that, why don't we talk to WAEC to make sure that they don't start the exams in February and move it down like they used to do many, many years ago to see that. So you can have a situation where you are truly getting the 3 years. But at this point, the 3 years have become 2 years. This is what we want to avoid. And in the process of avoiding that, you see, there can be hiccups here and there. But we want to make sure that students are not disenfranchised. They are not, we don't remove them from the opportunity to benefit from this great vision because they did not complete everything on Tuesday.
Talk even about deprived communities. You have areas that are hard to reach. They do not have access to electricity. Talk of internet service. These people would have to travel miles to get this, go through the entire process. I know already we are facing some technical, let me say technical hitch. How are we addressing that? Because it appears, I see a lot of parents too around trying to get some answers. How are they going to be able to go through this process?
Yeah, Madam, I happen to be the Member of Parliament for Bosomtwe constituency, which happen to have a huge rural population. So I understand. I understand what you are talking about. And as a child, I grew up in a rural area, so I have the sentiments, and I live the sentiments of rural people. So I understand that. I also understand that there may be some people in urban areas who may not have access to the internet readily. So that is why I prefaced my discussion earlier that we are not going to cut people off because they were not able to get to an internet cafe on Tuesday. But let me say that this is a better process than what has pertained over the years, where you have to travel to your regional director's office in the regional capital. Imagine somebody says you are Kontomra, says you be quiet. You have to go to Takrade, to the regional director's office so that they can do the placement for you.
This cannot be completed in just a day.
No, so the journey back and forth could have been more tedious than the fact that Seshua Kontomra has an internet cafe. Go there and let's help you. But we understand. You see, technology works in a very unique way. Because everybody wants to get in, the door is locked. If I open the door to this office and we have 100 people who want to get in, what will happen? Nobody will allow the other one to get in. So there's struggle, stampede. So we have a technical stampede. But people are getting, as more people get in, then it eases up. And as I sit here with you, we are making plans to really scale up the server capacity to ensure that more people can get in. After my interview with you, that is what I'm working on. I want to make sure that Nanado's vision for Free Senior High School come to pass with as few glitches as possible. But this I expected. So we really want to appeal to parents that they should work with us. We will not leave them behind. Schools exist because of parents. Without parents, there will be no Ministry of Education. Without students, there will be no Ministry of Education. There will be no Ghana Education Service. So we are here for them. We are going to work all the way with them until the vision of Nanado Dankwa Akufo-Addo is realized. Will never stop.
So Dr. Yao Educhum is the Deputy Education Minister in charge of secondary education. That is why we are trying to get all the answers for you out there. But Doc, what happens to the 8%? What's in there for them? Do they have any chance? Do they have any opportunity this year?
You see, to the 8%, I'll tell them this. Exams have a...
Can you put a figure to the 8% for me?
About 36,000. Yeah, what has happened over the years is that until the last 2 years, when you fail, you are done. Nobody cares about you. And I commend the NDC for coming up with a policy of reset. And we think it's a good policy. Students who did the reset last year are captured in this year's enrollment. So next year, these students can also go back and get better grades and then come back and we'll capture them and place them. Because you see, they are at a point when the student did not do well. Maybe he's bright, but exams sometimes can be tricky. They didn't do well. We want to give them a better chance of coming back strong and getting placed.
So when will they get the opportunity to do this reset?
Oh, the WIAC comes up with a calendar. I think it will be next year. Somewhere early next year they will do it.
Let me also talk about the free feeding for day schools as well. Not all day schools have a place for eating. Do we have the infrastructure also ready?
Madam, you've done your research. What is going to happen is that we are working with the district chief executives. We are working with the headmasters of those schools to make sure that they can select vendors to cook the food for the students, just like we do with school feeding at the junior high school level, until we develop the capacity to build our own kitchens and dining halls. That will be how we'll do it.